Angela, thank you so much for being on my podcast, Walking as Lions.
Thank
I know
you for having me.
Yeah, 100%. So I found you. I think I friended you on social media. So, just people going through, I'm like, and I think you had a bodybuilding picture. I'm like, because I used to bodybuild. And I was like, wow, she looks amazing. Where does she work out at?
Thank you.
Because I'm a chiropractor and I always try to connect with people in the health industry also. But when I started seeing your stories and stuff on social media, I was like, wow, she's really interesting. And I want to know more about you and what you do and stuff. So if you could just briefly just tell, just talk about who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the podcast and talk more about you.
Okay, perfect. So my name's Angela. I live in Jacksonville, Florida. I actually moved here 13 years ago from Detroit. I have had such an amazing opportunity since I've been down here. I moved down with Best Buy. I was with Best Buy for 20 years. I was a GM of a store here that eventually closed down close after COVID had begun. They changed their footprint and it was all in good. I took a severance because they offered me to stay or offered me to go. And I really thought that I felt like I was meant for more, to do something else. So I opted for the dream of entrepreneurship and getting out there and helping the world and focusing on fitness, as Focus Fitness may be, and touching people's lives and helping them physically and mentally. I have had the honor of really digging into my fitness and health. And I got a gym membership when I was a sophomore in high school and I never stopped going. And then I started competing in bodybuilding. It's been, I think, 12 years. So 12 years ago, I decided to get on stage and I was really hooked since then. I've taken some long breaks here and there, but I've always been very cognizant of health and fitness and still working out and working on dialing in nutrition. And when I left Best Buy, everybody was like, are you going to go open a gym? And I was like, no. I actually started opening a dog bar park, bought land, and that kind of fell under. And I took what was remaining of my life savings and I purchased a gym here in Jacksonville. Jacksonville Beach is a personal training studio. And I have actually, my whole life, I never believed in God. I didn't have issues with people who talked about it. I didn't have an opinion about it, neither here nor there. I think that everybody should do what they want to do with their life. And if they want to believe in what they want to believe in, I have, no issues with that or no opinions about it. It's your idea and your life. But after 3 years, I'm sure everybody knows what happened with Charlie Kirk back in September. And I have loved Charlie Kirk for years and years and years. And I thought it was amazing how articulate he was and how he could have conversation with dissenting point of view and be respectful of those people. And I just liked listening to him talk to people and not necessarily change anyone's mind, but gain a following. And really his whole purpose was to help kids, help men be better men. Because as I mentioned, I had a pretty rough childhood. He was trying to help men be better versions of themselves so he didn't hurt and so they didn't hurt and really harm women like me. And so, growing up, they wouldn't have as many issues. They would have fathers in the home. They would have better examples. They would be more present in relationships. And really that was his whole idea of being out there, is to kind of change the world and help men be better men and help people find God. So when he was murdered on September 10th, I was hit really hard with that. I couldn't explain why I was so upset, but I think for a solid 2 weeks, I cried several times a day. I think if I start talking about it now, I'll probably start crying because it was just so terrible. And I felt like I felt that evil that was in the world, because why would somebody want someone to be gone so bad other than they're afraid of the mission that he's on? So I said, if there's that much evil in the world, there has to be the opposite. You can't have evil without a holy presence. And not only that, but with his mission, everybody says, you know, you got to get that one more. And I said it was going to be my mission, is my way of honoring Charlie Kirk was to find my path to Jesus. And lucky for him, I'm not very good at giving up things, as you can tell with bodybuilding. You have to be committed and dedicated to your craft. So I was going to be the one that wasn't going to give up on that. And if anybody was going to be his one more, I said it would be mine. So since that time, I have really just dug into the word, and I went to church. He got shot on Wednesday. I went to church Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 1122 is one of our local churches. They actually had their week of, I forget what it's called, but they have like this Bible boot camp essentially for a week. And coincidentally, it was that week. So they had all these different sermons and things that were happening that week. So I was able to go and listen to a lot of really great speakers up on stage, all of those days. And it felt good to me. I finally felt somewhere that I felt at peace. And, I started digging into the Bible. I started going to church all the time. I was listening to sermons online, and I'm someone who, if I am going to learn something, I'm going to give my whole self to it. So I committed to it, and I started a couple Bible studies locally here.
That's awesome.
I
That's
started a
amazing.
Bible study. I have a women's group who comes in here, and we have just a little small powwow, one night a week, to where they come in and we kind of dig into what 1122's, it goes by their I think we're doing Matthew all year, so it kind of goes in line with what they're talking about. And then I'm also part of the 1122 disciple group. So I mean, I've really dug in, and it's great. And I will say honestly that since I have dug in, my life has always been really hard, and I have felt the weight of the decisions that I make, because I don't ever see an easy road. I always have to pick the hard road because there's risks involved, and I feel like I'm always chasing something. I'm overly ambitious, and I feel like I want to conquer the world and help everybody and change everything. And it was a lot of weight for a long time. And I think that since I've found God, it it was almost natural for me to give him some of that weight. And I don't want to say my life is easier, but it feels like I'm less alone, and I'm less in this fight for myself. And I noticed that there are things that have happened in my life over the course of the last 7 or 8 months that I don't think would have happened had he not been walking beside me and looking out for me. Because this second facility that I was able to purchase in January, the way that this fell in my lap was an act of God. And the actions that happened, there's no other reason that it happened other than he had prepared me for what was going to happen. And then I was provided this opportunity, and it was kind of unbelievable how it happened. So I kept telling myself he didn't bring me here to just leave me here. So I jumped on it, and it's a lot of hard work, but the support and the outcry, the pouring of the community when I start talking about how I want to be a faith-based gym, and I want to bring a lot more faith into the gym, and then people see that I'm doing Bible studies here, and I want to get some murals painted on the wall. I have some ideas. I just got to find a painter. But when I start talking about these things, they tell their friends, and their friends tell their friends, and people want to come in and they talk about God. And it's like you strengthen these relationships with these people. And it is honestly such a beautiful thing. I've not had a bad conversation yet since I've been talking about the Bible, and I'm talking about God and Jesus. And it's just been really, really great. Very fulfilling.
That's amazing. Now it's so funny too. Like when we think about where we were before, because you sound a lot like me. I was like, I could do it myself. You know, if there was something to happen, I wanted to do, I would go out and get it. And if I wanted it, I did everything I could to do it. And very ambitious, right? And so, but then it comes to a point where it's like, okay, well, I can't carry this weight anymore because it gets very heavy, right? And then that's where you turn to God, or God is in your life in that moment. And you're like, oh my gosh, well, if I wish you would have been here all along, this probably would have been a lot better before. Right. But we do see that. But God allows that to happen. He's created this like I call it the warrior, right? You're a lion, right? So
Yep.
you've got all of these things that he prepared you for this moment. And it's amazing, you know, and you hit the nail on the head too. It's still, you know, life is hard, but it's still not easy, even walking with Jesus. But
Yep.
knowing that he's there beside you to carry the weight makes it a whole lot different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
even opening up another location, like 2 businesses, that's a lot. That's a lot, but
Yeah.
you're obviously
Yeah.
equipped for it, right?
Yeah.
So, and I
And
think, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's, you know, people talk about, you know, why is my life so hard? If God was there, then, you know, why does he put all these trials and tribulations in my life? And it's, I understand now why these things are given to us, and these challenges are given to us, because he's building us up. Because
Yeah.
I'm always asking for strength. I want to be strong. I want to be, you know, on top of the world. And no, he isn't just going to give that to you, because if he gives
Mhm.
that to you, what are you going to do with it once you have it? You don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to
Right.
handle it. So
You got to work for it.
asking for success and to be strong and to have, you know, my life together, he's doing all of these things to build a foundation for me, and I can see it. I can see he's doing these things to make me stronger. So, you know, me growing with this business, and it's really hard to grow this business, but I think
Right.
that at the end of the day, when I get there, because I will get there, I think I'll stay there and I'll be able to maintain that, because I know how it happened, and he gave me the knowledge and he gave me the strength to be able to stay in a place where it is successful and it'll stay successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he's prepared the path, right? So
Hmm.
so he's with you. That's great. And I feel like whenever you're talking about saying you know, you're faith-based, because I advertise that, right? As with my practice, I'm faith-based, and it has drawn people to my practice because of that. And I think when I've thought about that, I feel like people feel safer and more protected, you know, because being in the gym, as you know, is very vulnerable. You
Yeah.
know, people have their body issues, you know, body dysmorphia. They were at one point, they were, you know, how they go into the gym thinking people are staring at them and, you know, criticizing them, which is definitely not the case. But when people feel, sorry, when people see that light somewhere
Yeah.
instead of a dark place, it's more welcoming, and they know that they're under this protection,
Yeah.
right? Especially especially being in the gym.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I think people really, the world needs that light.
Yeah.
And so when you say, "Hey, we've got the light over here, come in here. This is a safe
Right.
place where you can freely talk about your faith, and you can freely go to the next person. You know that this person isn't going to judge you. They're going to pray for you. They've got your back, and
Yeah.
you know, people will that needs saving will probably go to your gym and say, "Hey, you know,
Yeah.
I've struggled with these things. I'm struggling spiritually, but how can I get help here?"
Yeah.
And so it's a ministry. It's a ministry. And going back to Charlie Kirk, I mean, God will turn all things that were meant for bad to good, right? And I was on an airplane going somewhere when Charlie Kirk was shot, and I was like bawling on the plane. I'm sitting there in an aisle seat, and I'm looking around. I'm like, does anybody know what's going on here? I was like, but that hit me hard
It
too.
didn't seem real.
It really didn't. And you said, you know, it was evil, right? It was just pure evil. And that's right. It was just like, this guy was doing such good things, and evil just took him out and left a family behind. And that hit hard. I was like, he left his wife, he left these 2 small children. And it was just, that's why, it was just because this pure evil just happened. But what it did, if the enemy didn't know what was going to happen afterwards, he would have never allowed that to happen. He would have never done that. That ignited people like
Right.
you. That
Right.
saved people.
Right.
And that's what God does, is he already knows what's going to happen, and he's going to turn that into good. And so I'm, you know, it's horrible that happened, but it's great that here you are seeing that. I'm like, well, you know,
And
God, you know,
I love seeing what it's done and
yeah,
how it doesn't seem like it's lightening up any. The impact that it's had is just, it's overwhelming. um it's beautiful to see, and I'm very,
Mhm.
I'm obviously it was an awful thing, but it's amazing. It is amazing
Mhm.
to see, and I'm so great. It sucks that it took what it took, but I'm so grateful that it's happened, because my life has changed, and I
Mhm.
can't imagine how many lives out there it's changed. I guarantee I'm not the only one that feels that way or has made these changes. So think of all the lives that he's saved.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that it's just God was all over that. God was all over that. And he's working wonderfully in your life too. Like, a second gym. What were you looking for? Did you expect, was it in your mind already to look for a second place, or
No,
how did
but
that happen?
so it is a crazy story. Frank, one of my trainers at the gym, he's like my life coach. He's amazing, and we always talk through a lot of stuff. And I was having a conversation with him about, I was nervous about what I was going to do for retirement. Like I didn't think, the gym is successful and it does great, but it wasn't something that I could have long term and be able to fund a retirement and then retire at a reasonable time. It looked to me that I was going to work essentially until I died.
Mhm.
And nobody really wants to do that. We all want to be able to take some time for ourselves. I really wasn't even able to take a vacation without having the stress of being there, being in the business. I was working a full-time job on top of that. So I was having a conversation with them towards the end of last year. And probably 2 weeks later on a Sunday, I was at the gym, which no one is ever at the gym on a Sunday. I usually, because I worked a full-time job during the week, I'd go there. Saturday and Sunday was my routine. I'd go there in the morning, do cardio. After cardio, I would do some journaling, read my Bible, and then I was usually out of there between 11 and 12. Well, my friend had texted me during the week and asked if I could train her on the weekend. And I said, sure, come in on Sunday morning, 9 or 10 o'clock. We'll go through it, and then I'll push my routine back. So I was sitting in the gym at 2 p.m. on a Sunday when I never am. And the landlord of this facility was taking a tour around other gyms in Jacksonville just to see the functionality of it, because she had been running it for the last 2 years, just paying an employee, and she was looking for a tenant. So she came in my gym and was just asking about it and kind of told me the scoop. We sat and talked for 2 hours. I was like, this is insane, because do you believe in God? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. So then we started having that connection. And I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, God sent you. God sent you, because you're walking into my gym on a Sunday afternoon when I'm never here. You've presented this deal of a decade, because she was desperate to get out of it. And I am I know what I'm doing. I have a business background. I obviously have run a successful gym, and she connected with me with God. So that following week, I came in and I toured the facility, and within a couple weeks, the gym turned over, and it was mine. And really, I have 3 years of business ownership. I have 20 years of business management, four-wall management
Mhm.
with Best Buy, which is huge. But just her and I's relationship is really what pushed it over, and signed the paperwork, and done deal, which I was not looking for it at all. It fell in my lap. 2 weeks after, I had a conversation of being concerned about not being able to retire. And this is probably an opportunity for me to grow into a facility that will be able to fund some sort of retirement and give me a better life. Like I said, it's really hard right now because one gym was tough, but two gyms is you got to be in two places at the same time. So,
Right.
but I have a lot of really great help, a lot of great support, and it's going to take some time to get this place turned around because it needs a little bit of sweat equity. It's been kind of neglected for the last 2 years because a landlord doesn't necessarily know a gym business, but I'm
Right.
willing to do the work. And I really do think that God called me to do this and to help these people. The fitness world, when you mentioned it earlier, it's a vulnerable place, and
Mhm.
your health is so important. And I want to be able to give people that space to where I had when I was younger, a place where I felt comfortable. It was my third space. I had my home, work, and then my gym, where I've met some of my best friends. It's given me a very healthy hobby, to where I don't drink. I don't drink because I would prefer to be healthy in
Right. Yeah.
any environment where I'm bettering myself versus partying on the weekends for absolutely no reason.
Right.
I'm connecting people together here that, you create this social atmosphere with the gym business that you don't really get on the outside, because these are all people with a common ground of wanting to be better.
Mhm.
And I get to do that for them. So I really think that God put me in this position to help people connect and to grow together. And you mentioned earlier about how, we need more of the voices, and we need more people speaking. And it's nice to have somebody that you can trust that will talk to you about that stuff. And I'm sure you've seen on social media, I'm kind of loud and obnoxious, and I'm all over the place,
Mm.
and some people would say I'm intimidating. And I think that being that person, but also being someone who stands up for God and the Bible and the word, and I want to talk about it. Some people are kind of taken aback, but I can see that it gives them a safe space to talk about it, to where, maybe they don't feel comfortable talking about the Bible because there is that negative connotation in some people that, if they start talking about Christianity, that, they get shunned, or they're made feel bad for it, or they're
Yeah.
judged.
Yeah.
And when someone like me, who has a strong voice, I'm speaking up about it, I think that gives a lot of people strength. And I want them to borrow my strength to be able to talk about it, because we should be talking about it. It's crazy to me that people are out there and you're comfortable talking about 50 Shades of Grey and Harry Potter and all these other books that are out there, but you have this amazing book that has all these really cool stories, and we're afraid to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the spiritual warfare. That's exactly what is going on. And people don't want to talk about that because they're afraid to. They're
Yeah.
afraid to know that there is evil in the world.
Yep.
And, we're taught to be, oh, we just need all this positive stuff. Look at all these positive people. Look at these lives here. Look at all these wonderful lives. Like, no, there's spiritual battles.
Yes.
And those are the things that we need to call out and have
Yeah.
people that are strong like you. I think that's probably why I was drawn to you, because a lot of people have told me I'm intimidating too. I'm like,
Yes.
I'll get into a scrap, no problem.
Right.
Like, you want to talk? Well,
Yeah.
like
I'm
it's
the
almost
person
like you
that
go
they're gonna
looking
call
for
if
a
they're in a
fight.
battle.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it is you have to, you have to put on the full armor of God, right?
Yes.
Because he doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, right?
Yep.
And so he gives you this book to say, okay, look, I've called on you. You're now my disciple. Here, guess what? And reading through the Bible, I mean, it's not a happy place. I mean, there are some great stories in there, stories of redemption, but to get to that redemption, there's war.
Right.
There's war because of the darkness.
Right.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard. So yeah, so having strong voices and strong people like you who have lived it in this life, and then you saw something, you're like, I'm standing up for it. It takes a strong person, and that's what God prepares people. That's what he prepared you to do.
And I think really, I mentioned I didn't believe in God, and I've had this rough life. I think that was another one of those things where he was preparing me through my life and giving me all of these challenges and obstacles and hurdles that made me a soldier and made me a warrior, a lion. He made me a lion, to where maybe if he was with me my whole life, I wouldn't have been as strong as I am. And now that he's turned me into this lion, this warrior, that's when he has presented himself and he met me. And it was just divine timing that it happened.
Mm-hmm. It's all in his perfect timing. All in his perfect timing. And this week is Holy Week too, so.
Yep.
So, and it's perfect today. You're here. Jesus went today, after Palm Sunday, he goes into the temple and starts flipping tables. You know, he got mad and he's like, so it's great to do this interview with you today because you're the kind of person that's going to go in there and flip tables, right?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, we need that. We need that. And yeah, that's really cool. Going back to your gym, you were saying you need some sweat equity in your gym. What do you need? What kinds of things are you needing to keep that going?
Membership. So coming in, a lot of it was it's a beautiful gym. It's clean. The equipment is essentially brand new because when she took over 2 years ago, she spent a lot of money and bought all new equipment. And because she didn't have traffic in here, it hasn't been used. So it's a lot of natural lighting. It is a gym for the people. So when you come in, it's very welcoming. It's very lit up. The equipment is great. You have everything here. It's 11,000 square feet of strength and conditioning.
Wow. Oh my
We have
gosh.
group fitness here. We have a functional turf area that's more of like, I don't want to say CrossFit because it's functional. It's functional space, you know, with the ropes and wall balls and all of that type, kettlebells, those type of things. And then I have 3,000 square feet of outside turf area that I'm not sure if I want to do like a high rocks training facility. This last weekend, we used it for an event with, we partnered with Recovery RX and Comeback Homes, which is a sober house that they are helping recovering addicts get back on their feet and giving them housing and helping them find jobs and applications. And it's a great charity. So they host workouts, either yoga or more of a CrossFit workout, one Saturday every month. And I wanted to be involved with it. So I contacted them and we held a yoga workout here outside in the turf area, which was great because it was beautiful Saturday morning before all that wind started. So again, it was like God did that. He made this beautiful, the sun was out and it was gorgeous outside for yoga. You could really, you know, just feel the love and the energy out there. And, you know, it was very successful. We had like 15 people out there. They got some donations to help with their cause. And I want to do that kind of stuff. I want to have events out there. I want to have ways to help the community and do that. But as far as sweat equity, it's really just doing the marketing and getting the word out there that we are here and we want members. We want, you know, I need to build up the personal training business that's here. Obviously, Jax Beach is all personal training, so I'm used to that. So getting these people having that culture here, that's also a task because you got to find trainers and people who want to grow this business with me, which it's tough. It's tough to find somebody who's willing to, you know, be a contractor to come in and grow with you. And you're starting out with very minimal clients and you're doing the work with me alongside to spread the word and being able to bring people in. So that's most of the work right now is just marketing and word of mouth and referrals. And I'm doing what I can right now within my means because I didn't take out any loans. I'm doing this all out of my pocket because I'd rather do that versus dealing with things that I may not be able to catch up with on the back end. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's a lot, but it's going to happen. God's already, you know, I think sometimes we get caught up in stuff like that and get a little weary because, you know, that's business ownership, right? That's entrepreneurship. That's like a daily struggle. But then, you know, having a faith-based business is different because now you're like, okay, well, God's already provided. Right? He's already provided. And so we just have to remember that this is his and this is his gift and this is his ministry and it'll be successful. It will be. Just got to get through that hard part. It's hard.
Which I will plug in here that I'm trying to find somebody who wants to either barter, trade something because I don't have a lot of extra to put into it, but I want to paint this place. I want to get God's word on the walls. I want to put murals up on the inside, and I have a huge canvas on our back wall, and there's a shipping container back there that I'd like to paint, but I want I want Focus Fitness to represent God, and I want
Yeah.
God's word on these walls, so he can bless us every day, and we are reminded that he is our strength and he's with us doing this fight. So that's probably my biggest to do that I'm working on right now is I
Mhm.
really do want to get God's words on these walls, because I think that is the best way to represent him in this space, other than just talking about him all the time. Because Lord knows, for lack of a better phrase, I do talk about him a lot.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. He should be talked about a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just thought about that too. During Lent, I've been practicing, I've been fasting and doing a lot of prayer and stuff. And the word focus came to my mind. And, um, you know, we have to be reminded sometimes we get in our own head and start thinking about all the worldly things, all the issues, all the business stuff, oh, my life, this, just all of all of the stuff that we shouldn't be
Yeah.
worrying about. And that was what he gave me. He's like, focus, Jess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Focus on me. Focus on me. And all else will fall into place. And it looks like, and it has for you, and it keeps falling into place, which is great. I mean, we're going to have life's hurdles, right? And there's going to be things thrown at us, but as long as God's in the center of that, but yeah, we'll try to plug in and try to get into some like Christian groups or something like that. See if we can get some painters.
I would love it.
And some more events at your place. It sounds 11,000 square feet. That's huge.
Everyone who walks in, they're like, this is huge. It's amazing. It's designed very well. It's set up. It looks great in here.
That's awesome. And that's, and you can see the light in your eyes too. Like it's exciting.
Yeah. And it's funny because going into this, when I was researching it and doing the business planning and, doing forecasting of what it would cost, what my life's going to be like, I knew it was going to be hard. I kept telling myself this first 6 months, a year is going to be very hard. And I'm going to have to hunker down and really not have any life outside of this business for a while. But it's very different when you're in it. So it's like you can predict that it's going to be hard going in and have that in your mind. But when you're actually in it, it's a very different mindset. You're like, what am I doing? Why did I do this?
Yeah. You're like standing there, like looking at like, oh, this is going to suck. And then you just have to go through the door.
Yep. Yep. And we all go through the door. We all get to the other side. So that's what I keep telling myself, is that, he's going to bring me along. It's like I said earlier, he didn't bring me this far just to leave me here.
Right. And he's not, and like you said, it's all in his perfect timing. I forgot where I was going. Oh, we were going back to, I was talking about Holy Week, and this is the week where, Jesus is crucified, but, and then rose from the dead on Easter Sunday. And that's what, it was all in his perfect timing to bring his son into this world to die on the cross for us. And I can't tell you how many times it's in the Bible, just be still and trust and don't be afraid. Right. Yeah. But we are made for such a time as this.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm excited for you. And I really I live all the way on the west side, but I still want to drive over there and check this place out, because
I know you've mentioned. Come, I would love it.
I should, yeah. But we definitely got to get you plugged in and get some people to get in there and do some sweat equity for you. And I mean, church 1122 is huge, because I was there for the last year, and I went back to my little church. I call it the little church, because it's an old little place, but it's like 5 minutes up the road, and I just I got to go back over there.
Yeah. So I work on Sundays from 10 to 6 here, and I'm by myself all day, so I can't really leave. But I make it a habit now. I'm listening to his sermons on Sunday, and it's great. I love listening to his sermons. And then, like I said, I go to the disciple group on Wednesday mornings. So listen on the sermons, because you can still be part of it.
Oh yeah, no, I listened to that, and I listened to his sermons, and I went through. I bought the study through Matthew, so I've been studying through Matthew as well. So it's great. It's just a lot of good stuff. Just God is just so good. God is so good, and we have to build the kingdom. You got to build the kingdom, right?
And I feel like there's a lot of people that, question, well, what if he isn't real? What if he isn't real? And my response to that is, okay, so let's say he isn't real. And I spend my life honoring a God who creates this life for me that is very fulfilling and good. And I've always been someone that's made good decisions. My idea before, when I didn't believe in God, was that some of the worst people, what kept me away was that some of the worst people that I knew, they went to church on Sundays and they would repent and be forgiven from their
That's
sins.
that's a
So
very typical thing too. Yeah. Church
yeah.
hurt.
So
Yeah.
I always said I didn't need a God to tell me what the difference between right and wrong is. I would just do my best to make good decisions every day and to always be a good person. And obviously I've realized since I've been in it that it's so much more than that. It's not something that's going to tell you how to be good or what the difference between right and wrong is. But I I think that when at the end of the day, if I spend my life worshiping a God and do all of the good things, and at the end of our life, when I get to, you know, not be unalived, I'm either going to just be in the dirt and that's it for me, or I'm going to be at the gates and I'm going to be welcomed into heaven. And if I don't live my life according to worshiping a God, then I get to the end. And if there is a God, it's going to be a real bad time for me. So I just feel like it's a win-win. I'm going to live a fulfilling life, and then I'm going to get in the gates of heaven at the end of it all. And if I didn't believe in God and I didn't surrender and I didn't worship him at the end of the day, if he was really real, I don't want to have to be there for that decision. I'd rather be
Yeah.
on his
Yeah.
good grace.
100%. I love that. That's like perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfectly said. Yeah. It's
Right.
like, okay, well, if there isn't one, then we're all going to be in the dirt anyway. So what does it matter? So if you're going to
Yeah.
be here, just live the
Yeah.
life to glorify him. And if they're, and if he is real, which he is, then you get to live in heaven with him for eternity,
Yeah.
which is better than the alternate.
Exactly.
you
And it's a
know?
pretty good life.
Yeah.
A pretty great
Um,
life.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love that. That's very well said. I want to talk about your book. So your
Oh,
book
okay.
is Strong Enough to Stand Alone.
Yes.
Um, so I think you at one point had said like it took like 10 years to write it, which I guess, like in writer's world, it could take a while, right? But what inspired you to write this book, and why at this time was it able to come out? Like talk about the inspiration to this.
So I have, I'll just call him a mentor. His name's Jason. He has been someone who, I met at, in some public random space, and he's a film producer, and I actually started talking to him about being an extra, and that's just kind of snowballed this relationship that he and I have had, and we're like best friends. And just we would talk for hours. And he's actually been someone who has helped me on this road to find my faith, and he has also been part of starting one of those Bible studies that we created, because I went to him and was like, hey, I want to ask questions and I want to learn a lot because I don't know anything, but it's a vulnerable thing, and I don't want to just go in some random space with random people and ask questions. I would like if we could just talk about it. And there were a few people that were like, you know what, we really want to start a Bible study. Let's do it every Tuesday evening. We'll get together and do it. So that's kind of how it started, is because I asked like, hey, listen, I want to ask questions and be able to do it. So anyhow, in conversations with him, he's said several times, you should write a book with all these stories. You should write a book. And so many people have told me over the last few years, when I start talking about my life and everything I've been through, they're like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. So Jason, he had said, if you tell your stories in a video, if you start vlogging and you just take these videos and you speak into a camera, I will take those videos and I will transcribe them and put them into words and then give them back to you, and you can put them in a book, because writing a book is very overwhelming. Anytime anybody has told me that I should write a book, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I think a couple
Yeah.
times I started writing a couple words and I was like, I'm not a writer. I can't do that. I can talk all day long, but putting my words on paper is really tough. So being able to just vlog and take all of those vlogs and things that I have had for so many years and all these stories that I've had for all these years and putting them into words, and then having those words transcribed and edited. And the magic of AI, he's now created an app called the Writer's Forge that based on what he did to help me and get all of those vlogs put into word form, he created an app to help others do the same thing, to where you just talk in the camera of what you want your story to be, and it will transcribe it for you and put it into words. So I've taken all these stories from many years in my experience, and I wasn't sure how granular I wanted to be with a lot of it. My aunt called me as soon as she got word that I published it, and she was like, "What, am I in there? Where are the stories? Is your mom in there? Do I need to be prepared?" And I told her, don't worry, I didn't get too granular on anything. I just took more of the lessons that came out from some of those things that I went through in life. And I told her that will be book 2. Book 2 is going to be the actual story. So I'll save names. I'll save names for...
So book 1 was the prep work. Huh? Sorry. That's awesome.
It was tough, because a lot of that stuff and a lot of those experiences, it was hard to bring it back up, but it was definitely a lot easier than sitting down in front of a computer and having to type everything. Editing already transcribed words was a lot better, and having to go through and put it in an order that made sense, and the outline and all of that, that process probably took like 10 months to be able to get all that done. And then I self-published through Kindle, and I'm hoping that I can be able to present that to some sort of publishing house, and that way when I do get a book 2 together, that I can get a little bit bigger with it. But I feel really good about it. Obviously I wrote it, so I'm a little biased, but I wish that I would have had a book like this when I was younger, or someone to tell me all of those things to make it feel that I wasn't so alone in how I felt. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from women and men of how certain parts of the book had spoke to them, and they felt that it was advice that they needed to hear to help them move along with their life. Because we hold on to a lot of stuff, and we feel like we're alone when we're harboring all of that pain, and being able to set boundaries and enforce them, and feeling guilty about living your life how you want to live your life. And, you're waiting for permission to live. And that book kind of goes through how I just didn't wait. We get one life, and we should live it how we want to live it, within the parameters of being good, but just being you, and being unapologetically you. It's being someone else's, everybody else is taken. We just got to be ourselves, because we're so unique, each individual person. And that's what makes us all so great, is that you're different from me, and I'm different from you, and we're all different from everybody else. And if we're all trying to act like someone else, that takes away the greatness of who we are. And God didn't make us to be like, God made us to be us, and we should be really proud of that. And that's kind of the message that I wanted to put in that book.
No, I love it. And your book is on my list of, because I love reading documentaries. I love reading about people's stories. I love it, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, is because it just, people, we get so caught up in the dopamine hits with all of these famous people, and a lot of people want to follow them. But then we have, the average Joe and Jane out here just walking around with incredible lives that we should know about. Right. But yeah, during Lent, I made it a point to not buy anything that wasn't unnecessary. It's just food and water and, whatever else I need. So it's on my list as soon as, Lent is over, to buy your book. Okay. So, but yeah, everybody's got to go out and buy your book and listen to, or read it. Is it audio?
No,
it's on Amazon, so it's not converted over to like Amazon Audio or whatever.
No, it's on regular book form and Kindle. I've been asked to put it on audiobook, and I don't know if I would want anybody else to read it except for me, and I just don't know if I can do it.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's hard doing audio too. You have to.
Yes.
Yeah, because I somewhere there was a doc. I heard somebody talking about how they read audiobooks. I was like, ooh. It's like,
no, I don't.
There's a reason why people read.
I don't like listening to myself.
Yeah, that's funny. No, yeah, we are definitely going to blast all of this for you on the podcast, and then once it's released and stuff, I'm gonna, you blast it out to everybody. We're gonna work hard to get you some sweat equity in there. We got to find a
Love
painter.
that.
I
Thank you.
can't wait. Some people just paint just beautifully. Like, wow.
Yes.
So the last thing that I always like to ask, words of encouragement. Because you did say that everybody is so uniquely, you're you, I'm me, and God built us that way, right? So if there's somebody that is going through something that you've been through, or just any kind of words of encouragement, I know you had them here, but what would you tell somebody just to encourage them?
I think my biggest thing is life is taken one step at a time. When you think I've been in some very dark moments. I've had some very, very hard times that I didn't think that I would survive. And, I understood why people didn't want to wake up and take on another day.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of life is that if you wake up and you give 100% every day, and you just put one foot in front of another, and you focus on doing what you can do during that day, you will get through it, and things will be okay. It's hard, and sometimes it sucks and you don't want to, but as long as you keep showing up and as long as you keep moving forward, you're going to get through that door, and you'd be surprised how great it is on the other side. So just any advice that I give anybody is the hardest and the darkest places that you might feel like you're in, just keep showing up and keep going, because it's beautiful when you get through it. And then you appreciate the good so much more, because you have felt what it was like to be in the darkness.
Yeah, to get through that fire, get to the other side. You wrote something great here. You're like, anyone can eat an elephant if they take one bite at a time. Anyone can climb a mountain if they take one step at a time. Stop thinking about the end goal and start enjoying the journey it takes to get there. That's where the real fulfillment is.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I love that so much.
I was having a conversation with someone last week, and we were talking about just me always having the hard path and always taking the risk and always like going for more. And it's because I think I do love the journey so much. And I love, as much as I complain about how hard it is, and I'll say that, this is a lot and I'm tired and it's exhausting. This is where I feel alive. And when I get to the end, when I get to the top of the mountain, sure, you can look back and it's beautiful, but it was that climb that was the good part. The hard part is where we discover ourselves, and it's where we find who we really are and how strong we are. And I think that's my favorite part of life. Awesome.
No, I love, I appreciate you coming on here and talking about everything that you've talked about today. I'm really grateful that we were able to connect on social media, and we'll meet in person.
Yeah,
and for people who aren't from Jacksonville is the biggest land mass wise city in the entire United States. So people who are like across the river don't come over here, and people don't want to go over there. And so it's just like there's this weird split, right?
Because everything's so away and we're in the same city. So Jacksonville's huge, so it is tough.
Yeah, you're like, I looked up where your gym was. You're like an hour away from me. So it's like, one day I'll get over there though, because I do travel on that side of the bridge. But yeah, it's crazy. So this is why the Zoom works out. But again, Jacksonville's so full of people like you and amazing people. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
This was awesome. I'm so honored to be part of this.
I love your story, and this story is going to get out there. Your testimony is where it's at. And, we'll put this out there. And once, like I said, once this is, put together, you could blast it, and we're going to get you some help out there. We're going to get some awesome murals and some sweat equity in there, and get your gym like just rocking and rolling, and get this book sold. And I can't wait to buy it and read, all of the words and just hear some more about your testimony. And just thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Yes, it was. All right. You take care, and, just go forth and do amazing things like you continue to do.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Bye.
Right. Bye.